What was that? Had more fun. Yeah, yeah.
It's actually, he must have been cold.
That was, yeah. you were
Yesterday,
funny.
the Buffalo Sabres
Jumped in right too. Yeah.
You were around there. Got stuck in the rain.
What was that?
Lunch. I mean, rain, that deluge. Yeah. Ellen Bozer and I got caught. So soaked. I mean, just totally soaked.
Yeah.
Throw my shirts, everything. The only thing I had was a leftover Buffalo Sabres jersey. And I'm walking around with my shoes, socks.
Wait, what was it behind?
About 6 footed. Khaki shorts. Running around.
As long as it wasn't Eichel here.
We're live.
I got my intern here.
Okay.
LUCFULLER. He's one of the Turks. 1-0, by the way. He's right. He's 1-0. I told him that you'd introduce him. He was just gonna say a few things about where he's from. Sharp kid, I'll tell you. Not only can he throw it miles an hour, he good on a spreadsheet.
This is live, so you know.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yes, we are.
I think we're live.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Board of Directors meeting for the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency. Meeting at the BWB Building, 201 West 3rd Street, Jamestown, New York, second floor boardroom. Also via electronically live stream, YouTube and Zoom. It is June the 27th at 10 o'clock in the morning. We'll start with a roll call attendance. Harry Henry is here. Brad Walters. Sagan Sheffield Smith. Not here. Dan Hetzenrader here. Rhonda Johnson
Here.
Kevin Muldowney. Stephen Thorpe
Here.
and Daniel DeMart.
Here.
We should have already received the minutes from May 23rd, had a chance to review those. Do we have any questions or comments on the minutes?
Okay, so I'm recording it. I hit.
Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Steve, thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Rhonda, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes have been approved. We have some guests with us here this morning, and we'll start with Luke Fuller, who is intern with the IDA, but more importantly, he's a pitcher for the Tarp Skunks. And so did you want to mention a few words about himself this morning?
Yeah, my name is Luke Follen. I'm from St. Louis and just interning here for the summer. But I'm about halfway through. It's been a great experience. So thank you for letting me sit into that.
Thank you. Doing a great job, Gary.
Mhm.
Very, very smart. Picked things up quick and has been a big help to us.
He's got a finance background.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Well, it's good when we can have a partnership like that, something that's good for us here at the IDA, also can be involved in the community with the Tarp Skunks. And hopefully we'll get a chance to watch you play.
Just a note, it's important that they're only one game out of first place at this very point. Luke is 1-0 at pitching. That's what-
There you go. We need to have him pitch a little more. I have our county executive, Pete, here this morning. Would you like to share a few words?
No, I just, I think Mark and I had a great meeting yesterday. Had some touch and base with Community Bio. Really excited about what's going on there. Still a lot of activity. So looking forward to that. But, contrary to what seems to run in the paper by certain individuals, the idea is moving forward and it's progressing. And I'm going to stand behind that and always will. People will always find the negative of what happens, but I think we are focusing on the positive, what we're doing. There will be setbacks along the way, certainly, but everyone's commitment here is to bringing in, industry, improving our economic position, more so in Western New York. So I appreciate everybody's efforts and always excited to hear what we're doing and see the new projects coming through. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we appreciate the support. We'll move right into new business. Electrovia Company. And Rich, are you going to be presenting that this morning?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Chairman. John, are you on?
I am indeed.
Great. Well, I'll just say a few things. I'll turn it over to John, then we'll turn it over to Millen to talk about our resolutions today. So Electrovaya has purchased the old Accurite Heidenheim building. We've been working with them for almost 2.5 years now on this project. Today, we have a few resolutions which Millen will describe, but John, I don't want to take any of your thunder, so please briefly describe your project to our board. It's appreciated.
Yeah, thanks so much there. It has been a long process trying to get this over the finish line, but we're getting very close. Essentially, what Electrovaya is planning to do is retrofit the existing building in Jamestown to build eventually a gigafactory that will produce lithium-ion batteries for energy storage, electric buses, and electric forklifts. This is going to generate about 150 jobs for the first phase, which will be 300 megawatt hours, up to 250 plus jobs for the gigawatt phase. The initial purchase of the equipment will be funded by a term loan from the New York Green Bank, which will be roughly $34 million. We also have the state small business incentive group who are helping us out with some additional funding, as well as a grant from ESD. So we're well on the way to fully funding this stage one. We have the first couple of people hired. Our plant manager is going to start September 1, and from there we'll begin the build out of the operation. And the initial timeline for that is about 15 to 18 months. However, during this time, we will be essentially operating the building in the same fashion that we operate our manufacturing facility in Canada, which will be the final assembly of modules and batteries. So this is a project that's very dear to our hearts. We are reshoring production from China into the US. It's very close to our major partner, Raymond Corporation, who are in Greene, New York, and also Toyota, who are in Indiana. So we plan on kind of kicking things off. The New York Green Bank loan should close some point in Q3, early Q4, and at that point, it's full steam ahead for us.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for John? If not, Millen, I'd like to turn it over to you so you can discuss the resolutions that we have in front of us today.
First, thank you. First, we would do the deviation hearing. This is a deviation from the UTEP. It is a 15-year fixed dollar pilot, $114,528. Notice letters were sent out on May 18th to all the affected tax jurisdictions. My understanding is that the tax jurisdictions have participated in the calculation and negotiation of this amount. We've not received any comments from the affected tax jurisdictions. So at this point, I would open up the deviation hearing. If there's any representatives from any of the affected tax jurisdictions which to be heard, please speak now. Hearing none, we'll close the hearing. There are 3 resolutions, the sort of common ones that we often see. A deviation resolution, because as we've just heard, we are proposing to deviate from the UTEP for all the reasons previously discussed. Next is a seeker resolution. This is an unlisted action. And in the resolution that you've received, we have analyzed on your behalf the 18 different possible impacts and have come to the conclusion that we don't think that there's any adverse impact on the environment, and recommend that you come to the same conclusion in the seeker resolution. Last resolution is the approving resolution, which authorizes staff and council to draft and negotiate and then close the documents. The financial assistance is real property tax, estimated to be $572,000, mortgage recording tax, $62,000, and the sales and use tax is the big number, about $2.4 million, because as you've heard, it's a very large project. So those are three resolutions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Brad, would you move new business A3 for us?
Resolution 06272301 deviation approval resolution, Electrovia Company. Resolution 06272302 secret resolution, Electrovia Company, and resolution 062723-03 final approving resolution, Electrovia Company.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Megan? Thank you. Do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Brad Walters,
Aye.
Megan Sheffield Smith,
Aye.
Dan Hetzenreiter,
Aye.
Rhonda Johnson,
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney. Aye. Stephen Thorpe,
Aye.
Daniel Demark.
Aye.
And the resolutions are all approved unanimous. Thank you. And thank you, John, for your presentation. We certainly appreciate it. It's an exciting project, 150 new jobs being brought into the area right away and then possibly more in the future. And I know all the local schools are switching to electric buses, so maybe some of your batteries will end up on those buses and you'll be powering us locally, kind of the way Cummins does as well. So thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks for your time, everybody.
Yeah. Take care, John.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
We'll continue on with new business B, Bust-I Solar Project LLC. Rich, will you be presenting that as well?
Trying to fill in for Rosie. I'll see what I can do. Okay, so today we have with us Dennis Ryan. Dennis, are you on the line?
Mute that.
Dennis, is that you?
Yes. Yes,
Great.
good morning. How are you today?
Good, good. I'm just going to talk for a minute, then I'm going to turn it over to you, Dennis, and then Millen will talk about the resolutions we have in front of us today. So this is a Bust-I Solar Project LLC. It's a 10 megawatt located in the town of Bust-I on 66 acres. Total project costs around $17 million. It's not a cookie cutter, but it's pretty a standard solar deal. And so Dennis, I'll turn it over to you if you want to talk a little bit more about the project and field any questions should our board have.
Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity to explain to you. We're excited about the Bust-I Solar Project. It's been a labor of love of ours since 2018. And I just wanted to let you know that we've been approved for 10 megawatts of solar at the site. But we're going to split it up into 2 5-megawatt projects so that it kind of falls in line with the NYSERDA rules, but it's all the same land. We're very excited to actually have the opportunity for this project because it's going to be the start of a couple other really cool energy related projects we're looking at placing on this location, and we look forward to coming back before the IDA with our exciting news once we have the actual data put together for our second phase of these projects. We're ready to move forward. We've got the funding lined up and actually taking delivery of some of the equipment in July that's ready for us to move forward with the project. So we're excited by this, and I welcome any questions you may have.
I just wanted to add that, during construction, there'll be 37 full-time equivalents on the job. I've already hooked John up with a couple of the local business agents that had called, and I know he's been discussing working with them. After construction, solar panels don't require a large workforce, but there will be a half an FTE, probably contracted out for maintenance. The good part of that is, we're not stealing Rhonda's employees to go work there. Also, there's no burden put on the school system, yet the pilot payments, the school benefits mostly from the pilot payment. So we consider this to be a win-win project, and it also, furthers the state's goal of renewable energy. So if there's any questions,
And one other thing-
I can answer.
One other thing I just wanted to mention is that we actually, in an effort to be a good neighbor, I offered to pay money, not realizing at the time that the host community agreements that other places work with, we offered to do what we call a community benefit donation to the town of Bust-I, and that amount is based on the megawatt size. It's about $20 20 to 30,000 a year as it goes through the payment schedule and increases. Brings about $750,000 to the town over the term of our relationship. And the neat thing about this project is we had the opportunity to work with the town of Busti to actually have them agree to use these funds, not just in the general fund or something like that, to actually be placed towards whenever there's grants or something like that, that there's always matching funds that need to be there. And if our $20,000 could help, for them procure $100,000 worth of impact through grants and such, that's a win-win for everybody. So we're excited by that. That's in addition to the pilot that we're paying, it's just to be a good neighbor. And at this property, I'm from East Aurora. I'm actually the owner of the land. We're buying the land, which I think may be different than some of the other solar projects. Our goal is to be a locally owned company that uses local employment, that offers local workforce training. And we've got 3 other projects in the pipeline in Chautauqua County that could keep people that we hire busy for 3 years. So we're excited by this.
Thank you, Dennis. Millen, would you
Thank
like to
you.
talk about the resolutions, please?
Sure. First is the deviation hearing. Again, a letter was sent to all the affected tax jurisdictions on June 5th. The deviation is somewhat standard, if you will. It's $4,000 per megawatt, which is right about where we often see these. They differ occasionally because while the host community benefit agreement isn't with the IDA, we look at what that is in terms of sizing the pilot payment. So again, it's separate from the pilot, but it does go into the overall economics of the project. $4,000 per megawatt for 25 years with a 2% annual inflator is fairly common. So I would open it up. We've not received any written comments from any of the affected tax jurisdictions, but if there are any representatives of the affected tax jurisdictions who would like to be heard on the proposed pilot deviation, please speak now. Hearing none, we'll close the deviation hearing. Again, there are 3 resolutions before you. We can take them together. The first is the deviation resolution, because this is a deviation from your UTEP. Your UTEP doesn't really specifically address solar. And I think in part because each deal is a little bit different depending on its size and cost. Part of that cost is the host community agreement. So you'll find, I think we deviate every time on solar deals because each is a little bit different. So the first is the deviation resolution. The second is SECRA. And again, there are 18 specific potential impacts that are recited at length in the SECRA resolution in your package. We've analyzed them and would recommend that you come to the conclusion there's no significant adverse effect on the environment. And finally is the final approving resolution. We've calculated the real property tax savings are about $1.7 million over the course of the 25 years. Mortgage recording tax is $220,000. And sales tax is about $1.4 million. And again, these are very similar to other size projects. This is twice the size of, a sort of standard community solar of 5 megawatts. We're taking them together because under SECRA, SECRA doesn't like it when you sort of cookie cutter to make a project smaller. They call that segmentation. So we put them all together. So it's one resolution for, quote, both projects. We will probably document them separately, but again, the approval is for both. And those are the 3 resolutions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Alan. Sagan, would you move new business B3 for us?
Absolutely. Resolution 06272304, deviation approval. Resolution Busti Solar Project LLC, and resolution 06272305, SECRA resolution Busti Solar Project LLC, and 06272306, final approving resolution for Busti Solar Project LLC.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Dan, thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Brad Walters.
Aye.
Sagan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe.
Aye.
Daniel Demart.
Aye.
And the resolutions are unanimously approved. Thank you. I'd like to take a moment here as we move into new business C and just thank Jeanette, thank the whole IDA team for sending out all this information ahead of time. You know, you do a great job summarizing it up here for our meetings before we vote on it. But a lot of these programs have a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts. It's hard to follow it all if you haven't had all that. But with all the documentation you send us that we can review and research it, it's a lot easier to understand when we come here and have these meetings, already having had a chance to know some of the details. So thank you.
Well,
We'll go
thank you
ahead.
very much, everybody. We really appreciate you working with us and look forward to coming back to see you for more projects.
Take care, Dennis.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you.
We'll go ahead and look at resolution or new business C. And who's going to be explaining that one for
Yeah,
us?
I'll talk about it and then also Nate Aldrich will talk about it. He's really taken the lead on this. I don't know if you recall several years ago, we were awarded capital projects money through the county. And we really took a deep dive looking into, you know, the brownfields and opportunities to use brownfields and, you know, put them back into productive use. And, you know, also at the same time, the cities of Dunkirk and Jamestown have both done brownfield opportunity area plans to identify those parcels. And one of the things that we concluded at the end of it is that, you know, it would be good to have more resources, more tools to help us to do that. If you look at Niagara County, they've got a very active brownfield program and they have a revolving loan fund. And I'm not sure if they still have a grant fund, but I know they did at one time. So it's really the idea of creating a fund where we can help developers with those initial costs of doing the assessments and really sort of set the table for them to pull the trigger on utilizing these brownfield sites. So we applied for US EPA money to establish, it's called the Brownfields Revolving Loan Fund program, and we were awarded a $600,000 grant. We're matching that with both county and IDA money. Again, it will provide loans and subgrants to carry out cleanup activities at brownfield sites. So that's what this is about. And what we're, you know, because it's there's a lot of work involved, and we really don't have the bandwidth or the skill set internally to really manage this program. This resolution will allow us to enter into a contract with CNS Engineers, who's been around this area for a long time and has done a number of the BOA studies I talked about earlier, and really knows the lay of the land. And then also entering into a contract with Orion Environmental Services to manage, to be the project manager. So Orion will be a service agreement, and CNS will be on an hourly rate agreement. So that's really in a nutshell what this is about. You want to add anything, Nate?
Mark, I think that sums it up pretty well. Again, CNS engineer services specifically entail the EPA requires us to contract with a qualified environmental professional, as well as we've incorporated additional activities in the contract relative to required community engagement and then marketing the program as well. So that's the contract with CNS Engineers. It will be through the term of the grant, which is a 4-year performance period, which started October 1st, 2022. And then Orion Environmental Services, really pleased to team up with Brian Han out of Sinclairville. He's recently relocated to the area, has 30 years experience in the environmental, engineering fields, done a lot of phase 1s, phase 2s in the area. Really glad to have his skill sets to help us really develop and launch the program, developing an application process, again, working with our team and CNS to market the program to interested property owners, developers, and then comply with all the EPA grant requirements. So again, the IDA has already accepted the grants and allocated the county and IDA matching funds. So that's all in place. So this is consistent with the work plan and budget, and will allow us to really excel this to the next step. One additional thing, in the grand scheme of things, when we're talking about redevelopment of these brownfield sites, $600,000 is what we have available for loans and subgrants for brownfield cleanup. That doesn't go very far, but our rationale is, if over the course of the next 3 years, we could do half of that in loan funding, half of that in grant funding, get our feet wet. We'll have the program established, and as long as we're showing success, EPA has a history of doubling down and reinvesting in those funds, as Mark explained what's happened in Niagara County. So we see this as a tool, and hopefully help a few projects get over the finish line in the next couple of years, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Dan Hetzenrader, would you move new business C for us?
Absolutely. Resolution 06272307, authorizing professional service agreements with CNS Engineers Incorporated and Orion Environmental Solutions LLC in connection with establishing and implementing the CCIDA Brownfield Revolving Loan Fund Program.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Was that Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Brad Walters.
Aye.
Sagan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe.
Aye.
Dan Demart.
Aye.
And it is unanimously approved. At this point, would you like to have an executive report?
Yeah, I'll be quick today. Just wanted to mention a few things. Some good news. First off, and you may have read about it, we had the groundbreaking for Hideaway Bay last Friday, the 16th, on a rainy day. The site has been cleared. It's an investment of north of $2 million and glamping resort with all kinds of activities, sort of to appeal to the sort of outdoor recreation enthusiasts and others. We worked on that for about 9 years to get to that moment, between the foreclosure on the property and it going to land bank and RFPs and talking to developers and on and on and on, IDA incentives, et cetera. So that was a really fabulous day, joined by the county executive there, and Dan did a nice job hosting the event. And so that was a really, really good thing, and it'll be really good for Silver Creek. And that's a beautiful site. If you haven't been there, it's incredible. So that's good. And then Refresco, as you all know, last month we approved the sale of Talcott Street building that the IDA owned for 8 or 9 years to Refresco to make it part of their campus. They're going to invest over $13 million in it, employ 10 people. That sale has happened. And again, that was many years in the making, and several years of negotiating with Refresco to get to that point. So the pilot is in the process of being finished up and consummated. So really, really good project there. Really good project. And it means a lot. It's another stake in the ground. We work closely with the city of Dunkirk. Vince is here, and it really is another, again, investing in our community, creating jobs, pulling things away from other areas to bring back to here, create employment, et cetera. Very good.
If I could,
Please.
I didn't realize a good friend of mine, Gary Thompson, is there down there. Stopped me the other night at Bemis. I've known Gary probably 30 years, and he said how exciting it is, because that project was scheduled to go to Charlotte. They were scheduled to move a lot of their activity out of Chautauqua County. So he he was very excited to see what happened, the work that was done by the IDA to keep, make that sale happen and to keep, more refresco and bring more here. So really excited. Again, being a lifelong resident, he was, can't say enough about the work that was done. So it's really it may seem small and incremental, but it really is a big refresco notices, what we're trying to do here, as far as keeping them here and, making it, working with them. So just wanted to share that. I just happened to stumble across him and, leaving the restaurant the other night.
Yeah, talking about it for a few minutes doesn't do it justice. It was a lot of work and Rich worked really hard on it and others, Christine and others. So great thing. And the last thing I wanted to say is today, y'all know we had a review by the authority's budget office, a draft report. We commented on it or responded. They've then responded to our response. And today we have our exit interview this afternoon. So, we'll get through it and we'll be better for it. And, that's all I can say is that, we're going to always continue to try to improve here. And that's what that's the way we're taking this and for it. So that's all I wanted to say, unless anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Mark. Rich, did you want to do the treasurer's report?
Sure. I have in front of you the balance sheet. Start with the IDA balance sheet. Which includes the IDA and our 3 loan funds. CREDC now reported separately and we'll do that at the CREDC board meeting. The balance sheet looks really good. Balance sheet will look a lot better next month. I'll just go through a few things that are going to change. You see our fixed assets net of depreciation of $1.8 million. $1.4 million of that's going to go away because that's the net book value of the Talcott Street building. The proceeds from the sale, we directed back to the county, to the penny, whatever we got, we just sent it up to Todd Button at the county and he's going to take care of that. So our debt with the county will be over. We will then also get rid of some liabilities on our statement. We have a bond payable for $2 million and accrued interest of $319 that goes away. So we won't be seeing those anymore on our balance sheet. That's all I have on the balance sheet, except that we are in a very good position cash wise. While the loan funds have a lot of money, we do have loans in the pipeline that are going to gobble that up at some point here. Turning to our statement of revenue and expense, and this is just for the IDA. Things are going along nicely. You'll see the IDA's a little bit in the hole, and that has to do with some timing on some application and administrative fees, which will be closing in Q3, early Q1, Q4. Lastly, we'll turn to the variance report. Talk about a few of the variances. First one I'll talk about is the application administrative fees, which I just mentioned, that will catch up. I will be revising the budget. I'll go over it with Sagan and Crystal and I. Kayla's still on maternity leave, but we'll redo the budget again at the end of June and bring it to the board in July. We'll have a better picture of what's going to happen for the rest of the year. On the expense side, payroll and benefits is down. We've got some people off. So that's part of that reason. Under professional fees, you can see we're way over. Part of that is timing due to the North County Industrial Grant, where we have been moving quite rapidly, and we'll adjust that again in June. We are recognizing the revenue for that as we spend it, so that's up above a little. Utilities are over, but the utilities are done. So we're probably going to end up the year 15,000 over budget, but we also are going to be over budget on rent as well. So that should. I budgeted 68,000 for rent for the whole year. I'm already at 101. So we held on to that Talcott Street building a little longer, but I'd rather hold it in May and June and not pay the utilities. Holding it in January, February is not good. That's where you get the big bills. So again, the rest of it looks pretty good. So I think we're going to have another good year and the IDA. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless someone has a specific question.
Any questions?
You're welcome.
At this point, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the the history of a particular person or corporation. In particular, I'd like to discuss the status of our loan portfolio and the financial and credit status of some of our borrowers, as well as some CCIDA personnel. I believe discussing this in open session could substantially affect the value. Do I hear such a motion? Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll go into executive session.